On paper, betting on yourself sounds exciting. It even gets romanticized. It's the old story we love to hear of someone quitting their safety nets, their familiar job, to go all in on their dreams, and often coming out on top. Yet there's a big part that often gets left out. When you bet on yourself, you're also holding all the risk, all the responsibility, and all the uncertainty. There's no safety net to catch you, no boss to shield you, and no one to pick up the pieces if things don't work out. It's all on you to figure everything out. If it works out, then the win is yours. But if it doesn't, you've got to take all the losses. With that comes a weight of pressure that you can't just take off. It exists not just in your mind, but also in your body. And some days, betting on yourself feels heavy. For me, this morning was one of those days. I woke up with some mental fog, a few money pressures in the background, work projects feeling a little bit scattered, some ulcers in my mouth from working too hard and pushing myself a little bit too far. And overall, just not feeling that usual spark I have to attack the day. It's not the version of myself I like to show the world, but today, that's my reality. And I think there's something worth exploring here, because if you've ever tried to build something, you've ever tried to pursue your goals and do something meaningful with your life, I'm sure you felt this way too. So what does it really mean to bet on yourself? I took my first bet on myself when I was 23, when I decided to quit the regular career path and get a one-way flight to Thailand to become a professional poker player. This was the ultimate, no guarantees, no income, you make it work, or you're back into the real world and trying to pick up the pieces. And I remember when I did go for this path, it was quite scary. Scary to realize that there was no safety net, there is no get out of jail card, and it's all on me to figure out the answers. Either I learned how to beat the game, I learned how to make money to support myself, or it was game over. Fortunately, that worked out well, and I had a successful poker career, which then led me to take my next bet. And this was to step away from poker. And I decided to go into mindset and performance coaching at the age of 29. And again, I was stepping out of what had become a very familiar, very predictable career path in terms of being a poker player. Maybe not the most stable from the outside looking in, but something I got good at and felt very secure in. But I started to feel like I didn't want to be playing a game my whole life, that I wanted to do other things, that I wanted to pursue other interests outside of poker. So I stopped playing, stopped making money for a period of time, and I went, right, I'm going to become a performance coach. I'm going to become a mindset coach, and I'm going to bet on myself to figure it out. I had no experience. I had no way of understanding how to get clients. I had no way of understanding anything about what I was getting into. But I bet on myself to be able to figure it out and learn on the way. And now, at 37, I feel like I'm standing on the edge again and taking another bet on myself. Now I'm stepping away from the niche of a poker coach, and I want to share my own thoughts, my own ideas, create my own personal brand around what I find interesting. And on some levels, that's more vulnerable than anything I've done before. I'm taking a bet on myself that I've got things to share, that people want to listen to, want to hear, want to engage with. So I don't know how other people feel when they take bets on themselves. I can't put myself in someone else's shoes, but for me, I know it feels quite scary at times. It can feel quite heavy. And there's also this constant pressure of, I need to make things work. Nothing is going to work out without me putting in the effort, and nobody's coming to save me. There is no plan B. There's no get out of jail cards. There's no way of this working out unless I make it work. And with that comes pressure. And with that comes a constant tension almost in the system that you need to learn to live with. And for me, I feel like I've been able to live with this fairly well. But there's days like today where that feeling gets quite heavy. And it gets a bit like, I wish sometimes I had a more traditional life, a more of a steady career path where I didn't always have to use my own drive and motives to get me going. But what I was thinking today is maybe that's the cost of freedom. Maybe the true cost of freedom is holding that tension, having that bit of pressure, having that bit of extra responsibility for yourself in order to drive your life. And with the freedom you want, that's what you need to tap into. And it got me thinking about the solitude of the solo path. And for me, most days, I love that. I love being my own boss. I love waking up in the morning, getting a coffee, getting to my office with no one around. I love just getting stuck into my 3 hours of deep work in the morning, whether it's writing, shooting videos, creating content for my coaching programs. I really enjoy that part of my day. However, with that, it's always on me. it's always on me to drive performance. It's always on me to create deadlines. There's no colleagues checking in. There's no boss to report to. There's no overarching deadlines that I need to work towards that aren't mine. So it creates this element of you need to be very efficient, self-driving, and on days when you're lacking energy, on days when no one's pushing you, it can get tough. It can get tough because it's easy to move the goalposts, to let a bit of slack in the system, to tell yourself, oh, I'll get started with this tomorrow, or I'll do more in a few weeks' time. It's very easy to get sloppy or to loosen your standards. And what I found is challenging is how do you constantly move forward? How do you constantly take action on days when nobody's driving you and you don't necessarily feel like it? So with this, one of the skills I've learned to get better at is what do you do when the drive isn't there? What do you do when you don't feel motivated? Because the truth is, no matter what your goals are, what your vision is, what you're working towards, there's certain days you just don't feel like it. Your motivation is flatlining. You don't have that inspiration, that usual enthusiasm for what you're doing. And when you've got a job, people will dictate what to do. There'll be some accountability, some pressure, some people that are kind of driving you to do more. When you're betting on yourself, when you're self-employed, you're pursuing your own goals, very often it's just you. And you have to find ways to show up on these days. So for me, I found what is most beneficial is not to allow any extremes to kick in on these days. So for me, I make sure I always try to do something that moves me towards my goals. I don't wait for myself to feel motivated. I don't wait for inspiration to kick in. But I also don't try to have a perfect day. I try to simplify my day and to go, what could I do today that would move me towards my goals? And often it's just one or two simple steps. Today, for example, it was sit down with my writing pad and to start writing this blog, which turned into this YouTube video. Later, it's going to be going to the gym, doing a workout, make my body feel good. Then after that, it's going to be recovering, try to get some extra sleep, get to bed, and feel fresh for the following day. Because this marathon, not a sprint mindset, but also I think it's really important to do something that moves you forward on these days. Because I know for myself, like if I decided to do nothing, I decided to skip this video, skip doing things that move me forward, all of a sudden, one bad day turns to 2 bad days, 2 bad days turns into an unproductive week, an unproductive week can turn into even longer. And you have these kind of patches where you feel like you're moving really fast, you're sprinting really fast towards your goals, in other patches where you're doing nothing. And I know for me personally, one, it feels very frustrating to live that way, and I feel so much better if I can just do something regardless of how I feel. So with this, you've got to master how you feel. By that I mean you've got to find ways to get yourself to do things even when you don't want to. You've got to shoot the video even when you don't feel like being in front of the camera. You've got to write the blog, publish it even when you don't feel like it's ready. You've got to take an action that aligns with your long-term vision even when the feelings aren't there. I think it's so important to keep momentum in life and to take those small steps and don't have big breaks, whether it's going to the gym and you have a regular gym habit, rather than breaking that habit, you do a small workout or a home workout on a day you don't feel good. Eating habits, when you're eating well, it's finding ways not to go off your diet too far. Maybe you can have one cheat day, but then back on track again. But trying to find ways to keep momentum even when it's challenging, even when the feelings don't align. And then on the flip side of this, there's the illusion of falling behind. So I kind of try and pair these kind of back and forth where I'm like, okay, on some level, I know that it's the long term that matters. It's the actions I take over a long period of time that will dictate success or failure in anything I do. And when I have one day off, I have a slack day, I have a slow day, my energy's low, motivation's low, my mind often tricks me into saying narratives of, Adam, you're falling behind. This is proof that you're not on track to your goals. You're not showing up as the way you could. And I almost can think that I'm falling further behind off one bad day or one bad output day compared to a high day. So I'm trying to make sure doing something allows me to at least lessen that feeling of falling behind, but also to zoom out and realize for myself over the long term, the big picture is how many days did you put in good effort? How many hours of deep work did you put in? How many effortful reps at what you're trying to get better at did you do over a longer period of time? And if you can do that, whether you have a day off here and there, or they have some slower days, some slower weeks, it's all part of the process. And that is what really matters. I think for myself, I try to make sure I'm doing something so that illusion of falling behind doesn't get too strong, but also to keep momentum. I don't know what it is about the hidden forces of momentum. I know there's probably some deep topic in here, but I know when I've got momentum on my side, when I'm consistent with stuff, it's very easy to keep that consistency. But when I break it, even something for a day or 2 days, then the energy required to get going again, it's so much harder. So I prefer to the things I care about, things I'm moving towards. I would much rather do something on those days, something that moves me in that direction, even if it's only a little bit. So when I strip away the noise and I try to think about what I'm doing with my life, what I'm moving towards, what are the key things that matter, it's often not about performance metrics. It's not about being busy just to be productive. It's not just doing things for their own sake. It's often for these 3 reasons. The first is growth. I want to keep evolving as a person. I want to keep pushing myself to reach my potential, whatever that is. I want to set myself goals and paths that allow me to level up and become a better version of myself over time. That's one of my core drives. It's probably my highest value as a person, to be growing. The next one I have is connection. I want to connect with people. I want to share ideas with people. I want to be able to have an impact and resonate with people who are on the same journey as me. And then with that goes contribution. I'm at the stage of my life now where I want to share my best ideas. I want to have a positive impact on those around me. I want to form communities and people who are on the same wavelength as me and be able to positively influence those in a good way. So these 3 things act as my compass. And on days like today, which feel heavy, which feel a bit like, why am I pushing myself? Why am I trying to achieve things? Why am I trying to share my ideas in ways? They're my reminder of why I do this. They're my reminder of why I'm currently on this path of writing blogs, sharing videos. And I think it's very important to always have a bigger picture, always have something to re-anchor to. And today it actually took a little bit of searching. I was going back and forth with ChatGPT going, what am I doing today? I feel uninspired. What are my core values? And really realigning with that. It's things I know deep down. It's things I've spent a lot of time clarifying, but it's not always front of mind. And we have days, good days, bad days. And the bad days, so to speak, are reminders to zoom out, reminders to connect to what you're doing, and reminders to not get too bogged down in the heaviness of the feeling you're currently in. So my final reflections I had today were to choose the next step, not the perfect step. When you don't feel overly inspired, just do that next thing. Do that next thing that's in front of you. Shorten your time span to 5 minutes, to one task, one activity. Have a couple of quick, easy wins so that day keeps some momentum going. And remember that this is almost like a day where you're training a different muscle. You're training resilience. You're training durability. You're training your ability to keep going even when you don't feel like going. And I think that's a very undervalued skill. I feel it's a skill that really helps you towards your goals. And if you can just tap into that, you can really find ways to get past your feelings. You prove so much to yourself when you realize, it doesn't matter how I feel this morning. I will still make progress. I will still do what needs to be done. That's a good feeling. That's a good feeling to go to bed with, that you're not relying on motivation or feel inspired. And the final thing I wrote down today was anyone can start, but few people can keep going when it gets heavy. And it got me thinking of everyone would like to be in control of their life. Everyone would like more freedom, most likely. And the people who actually achieve it, the people who actually live life on their own terms, are the ones who keep going during bad days, bad weeks, bad patches, when they don't really feel like it, when no one's watching, there's no feedback, there's no nice rewards at the end of it, but they just keep going. They keep putting the reps, and they get through those seasons, and they end up in a position where life does reward you. Life does give you back, but you've got to keep going on the days you don't feel like it. And yeah, that was my lesson today, to reflect on betting on yourself. I was thinking about it in terms of a poker player betting on themselves, in terms of starting your own business, betting on yourself, in terms of following your own goals, your own dreams. That's a bet on yourself. And then how that can very quickly end up with some kind of self-help, yeah, go for it. And then I got thinking about how I felt today. I was like, actually, it can feel heavy. It can feel tiring. It can feel a lot of pressure, a lot of tension. And that's okay. That's actually a good thing that you're on track to something meaningful. Being tired is a sign that you're working hard. So tap into that. And yeah, hopefully it was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you got a takeaway from this video, and I'll see you in the next one.